Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the exact math and physics you need to safely size a solar power system for motor-driven appliances. We are entirely skipping over the kind of superficial cookie-cutter advice you usually stumble across online, and instead, we're digging straight into the strict, long-term engineering principles that'll actually keep you out of common design traps. Let's get into it.
So it's the classic question, right? How many panels do I need for my washer? But relying on a quick, single number for an answer is a massive trap. It's exactly why so many beginner off-grid systems crash, shut down, or frankly, become dangerous fire hazards. To get this right, we really have to look at the entire chain of energy.
Now, what's super interesting here is the direct contrast between the simple math and the safe math. The simple approach just looks at the little nameplate on the back of your washer and multiplies watts by hours. But the safe math, the real engineering, that requires us to factor in motor surge, inverter efficiency losses, and battery depth of discharge. If you ignore these, your system is pretty much doomed from the start. Okay, here is our bottom-up engineering blueprint for this explainer. 1. The hidden solar sizing trap. 2. Calculating true energy needs. 3. Inverters and motor surge. 4. Sizing the battery bank. 5. Calculating solar panel requirements. And 6. Essential system safety rules.
Let's start right off with Section 1, the hidden solar sizing trap, and exactly why nameplate watts fail you.
You know, it's so easy to accidentally calculate for a steady, flat electrical draw, like a light bulb. But a washing machine is absolutely not a light bulb. It's a complex beast with heavy draw induction motors to spin the drum, drain pumps, water valves, and highly sensitive digital controls. The startup current for all of that can spike to several times higher than its continuous running current. And that brings us to this crucial point. Using only the running wattage often leads to inverter overload trips. If you size your inverter and battery based purely on continuous running wattage, let's say it's 500 watts, the literal second that an induction motor kicks on to spin a load of heavy, wet clothes, it demands a massive power surge. Without the overhead for that surge, your inverter is going to trigger an overload alarm and just shut down entirely mid-wash.
Moving right along to Section 2, calculating true energy needs, or the math behind the load.
Before we even think about buying a single solar panel, we absolutely have to calculate our specific load by measuring energy in watt-hours. You calculate this just by taking the power in watts and multiplying it by the hours the machine actually runs. Pretty straightforward, right? Let's say your washer draws an average of 500 watts and a cycle takes exactly 1 hour. That's 500 watt-hours per load. But factoring in reality, because who only does one load of laundry? If you run 2 loads a day, you obviously have to multiply that by 2. And that leaves us with a baseline daily energy requirement of 1,000 watt-hours, just for the washing machine. This is our foundation. But keep in mind, this is solely what the machine itself consumes. As we'll see, our system actually needs to produce and store significantly more than this, just to account for the physics of moving that electricity around. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, inverters and motor surge. Let's make sure we don't lose power in translation. Because of those complex induction motors we talked about earlier, you absolutely must use a pure sine wave inverter. Pure sine wave power closely mimics the smooth electricity you'd get from a utility grid. If you try to save a few bucks by slapping on a modified sine wave inverter, well, you're going to get loud, angry buzzing noises, a ton of overheating, and you will literally damage your washer's electronics over time. It's just not worth it. We also have to face the reality of physics here. Inverters are just not 100% efficient. They consume energy just by being turned on, and they lose energy as heat when converting DC battery power over to AC appliance power. So step 1, we take our appliance requirement of 1,000 watt-hours. Step 2, we divide it by our inverter's efficiency rating. Assuming a standard 90% efficiency, we divide by 0.9. And boom, this calculation proves we actually need 1,111 watt-hours stored in our battery just to successfully deliver that original 1,000 watt-hours to the washer. The inverter essentially taxes the system. Actually, think about it. If you had sized your battery for exactly 1,000 watt-hours, your system would die before the spin cycle even finished. All right, next up is Section 4, sizing the battery bank, focusing on chemistry and capacity. So you literally cannot drain all batteries to zero. If you're using traditional lead-acid batteries, you can really only safely discharge them to about 50% of their capacity without totally destroying their lifespan. However, lithium iron phosphate, or LiFePO4 batteries,
give you a massive 80 to 90% usable depth of discharge. Understanding this usable energy is absolutely as critical as knowing your total capacity. Let's look at how battery voltage impacts the whole shebang. To find your necessary battery capacity in amp hours, you divide your energy by the battery voltage. But honestly, more importantly for system design, you must calculate the DC current pulling from those batteries. You find current by dividing the power in watts by the voltage. Why does this matter so much? Let me show you. If you are pushing just a 1,000-watt load on a standard 12-volt battery system, you divide 1,000 by 12, which creates a massive 83 amps of continuous current. To put that into perspective, pushing 83 amps requires some incredibly thick, expensive copper cables, and it generates a ton of heat. This perfectly highlights why stepping up to a 24-volt or 48-volt battery bank for heavy appliances is literally a game changer. It's so much safer and more efficient because that higher voltage dramatically drops the required current. Now we finally reach the top of our system architecture in Section 5, calculating solar panel requirements so we can replace what we use. To size the solar array itself, we have to replace the exact energy we've drained, plus account for environmental reality. Step 1, take our daily watt-hour requirement. Step 2, divide that by the peak sun hours for our specific geographic location. Now keep in mind, this is not just total hours of daylight, it's the equivalent hours of perfectly direct, full-strength sunlight. So let's say our target requirement is 1,500 watt-hours a day. If your location gets 5 peak sun hours, you divide 1,500 by 5, meaning you need an absolute bare minimum array of 300 watts. But hey, clouds exist, right? Panels get dirty. So in the real world, you definitely want to bump this up to 400 or 500 watts, just to guarantee reliable charging through overcast days.
Okay, let's dive into our final section. Section 6, Essential System Safety Rules. This is all about preventing disaster.
Everything we've talked about today leads right here. These are the absolutely crucial risk points you must avoid. An undersized inverter, that leads to system shutdowns when your motor surges. A battery that's too small, that causes excessive voltage sag and battery management system lockouts. Undersized cables acting as a bottleneck, that will result in intense heat buildup and a genuine fire risk. And the absolute worst mistake you could possibly make, operating a system with no proper DC fuse. Battery faults can produce terrifyingly high fault currents, so a properly sized fuse right near the battery is completely non-negotiable.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Look, anyone can wire enough panels together to momentarily make a light blink or a machine start up. But getting the math right, accounting for surge, efficiency losses, and strict safety fusing, that is about engineering long-term reliability and total peace of mind for your home. So are you just trying to flip a switch today? Or are you building a power system that'll safely run your life for the next decade? Take these formulas, apply them to your projects, and always build safe. Thanks for joining me.